Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scooby Doo review. My name is Zerk. I'm your host, and with me is my co-host Pen. Say hello, Pen.
Hello, everybody out there in internet land.
Today, as with every other Wednesday, we will be reviewing a piece of Scooby Doo media until we either expire or run out of things to review. So today, we are continuing our work through the Scooby Doo show from 1977 in season 2, finishing it off with the final 2 episodes for this season.
The Ozark Witch Switch and Creepy Cruise. Really did not expect the good things came out of Creepy Cruise. No.
It is not a title that inspires greatness given previous Scooby Doo.
There's been like
cruise related anythings.
So many cruise. There are so many that are just like it's a boat, like a cruise ship. I'm pretty sure there was a What's New episode on a cruise ship and the Pirates episode, the Pirates movie.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Scooby Doo and boats don't usually pair well, but this time we finally found it.
Yeah.
So, without any further ado, let's begin our suffering by summarizing the story of our first episode, the Ozark Witch Switch.
All right. So the gang are driving through the Ozarks because they're on vacation, as they are essentially any time. They're just wandering U.S. countryside, you know. They're driving down a country road when Fred punctures all 4 of the tires. Yeah.
Good job, Fred.
I don't even know how he did it because it doesn't. They don't say that anybody in the plot like put caltrops or something on the road. No, they just pop all 4 of their tires because they're idiots.
Yeah.
Then of course they see that there is a shack in the distance that is being lit up by lightning bolts. It's always a good thing to do and never an ominous sign to not go there. So I forgot the witch from the beginning as well.
Yes. So the gang goes in, and prior to this, we saw a little bit of a sneak preview of our villain for this episode. I wrote down in the notes, that's one hella hag, bro. As per the fact that the villain of this episode is a witch, specifically the ghost of Witch McCoy. And as the gang goes into the shack, they find a family called the Hatfields in there. And if that sounds familiar to you, that is because the Hatfields and the McCoys make up a large part of southwest Eastern United States history. Sort of in the Appalachian region, there were these 2 large families called the Hatfields and the McCoys, and they had sort of a Montague-Capulet feud between them. And what happened was basically they gathered a bunch of their friends out, and there was 2 militias, 1 for each family, that ended up in a giant shootout with about 200 or so participants. Basically, this small-scale battle fought between these 2 families that is sort of passed into the American lexicon as part of sort of the general sort of Old West, sort of frontier Americana. It is actually so integrated into American culture that in the 80s, they found descendants of the Hatfields and the McCoys and put them on Family Feud together.
Really?
This is real. You can look it up.
Is that like a special edition or something? Is that a special Hatfields and McCoys, a piece of history that you probably don't remember? I didn't know that. That was fascinating.
Yes, no, I did some digging since this episode was coming up. And anyways, they meet with the Hatfields, and the Hatfields basically explain something about in the broadest strokes possible, their feud with the McCoys, and that one of the McCoys was a witch whose ghost has now come back to haunt the Hatfield family.
Yes. So in the beginning, the witch sort of just randomly cackles and says, "Curse to all the Hatfields," and then transforms into a cat from the flash of lightning. They do not explain this, so she can just turn into a cat.
Mm-hmm.
They straight up don't explain it. There's other things in this that they don't explain, but we'll get there.
So the gang spends the night in the Hatfields' cabin while they wait for a tow truck to come and pick up the van in the morning. And Scooby and Shaggy are awoken by the witch creep-crapping around inside the Hatfields' cabin, and we get a bit of shenanigans. Yep. And it ends with Pa Hatfield, that is literally his character name. He is not given a name like Morgan or James or God
Listen,
forbid
listen.
Bob.
They've called me Pa since I was, 7 years old. So that's what they call me. My name's Pa.
Yeah.
No matter who
So
you are, I'm your Pa.
the witch turns Pa into a toad, which has the whole gang shocked. So the gang go out into the stormy night to go and see if they can find the
Wait.
witch.
Oh God, I just realized there's another thing that doesn't make any sense here. Okay, so I'm gonna spoil this for you, listeners. This witch is kidnapping the Hatfields. So Zach, how the hell did she take Pa Hatfield, drag him all the way to the sawmill, come back, put a frog in there, and then spook Scooby?
I don't know. Fuck.
Also,
Search.exe has stopped working.
I guess Pa doesn't sleep with his wife at all, because
She would have known.
It's a single bed that they show that he's sleeping in. So I guess he doesn't sleep with his wife. His wife sleeps in a different room.
the women folks sleep on the floor in Appalachia.
Women folks sleep on floor in Appalachia. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, after seeing enough mountain monsters as I have, I would believe that there are people out there who think like that. There's people out there who think they saw a fucking sheep squatch.
Do they have electricity in this place?
I think they do.
I can't remember if it was lit by oil lanterns or not, because otherwise, like, do they understand modern society, or are they just some hillbillies that have been out in the woods for so long?
I don't know, but if I was somebody who lived in Appalachia, I would take very great offense to how I am depicted in this episode.
I'm sorry, people of Appalachia. I guess this is offensive to you?
Probably. There's a lot of things from the 70s that are offensive to a lot of people that we should leave in the 70s.
All right. Okay. We need to continue on with the plot. We got derailed there.
So Pa Hatfield gets his ass kidnapped, and the gang, Daphne, Velma, and Fred go out to see if they can find where the witch took them, whereas Shaggy and Scooby head into the nearby town to go call the sheriff.
Yep, absolutely.
Shaggy and Scooby then proceed to commit a breaking and entering into the general store in the small town.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not even. It looks abandoned as far as I could tell.
No, it's supposed to be like an actual town because the like clerk or whatever, Aggie Wilkins, like comes in and because like the alarm went off.
Oh right, but she's like the only person there. Isn't she also the witch?
Yes.
So she could have just been like, "Ha, yeah." Wait a minute. Okay. Wait. No, if she was there, then but she can't be the cat as well. What is happening?
I don't know.
This episode is ruining my mind. Okay, look. So Aggie Wilkins, she shows up and talks to Scooby and Shaggy because they find out that the phone line's been cut, and then the witch cat walks in and tries to spook them, meaning that she can't be the cat, but she doesn't explain how she turned into a cat.
No. There must be two witches. This is the only conclusion.
Wait, it's a witch switch. Which is which?
So, anyways, that happens, and Fred, Daphne, and Velma run into a bald man with bloodshot eyes.
Yeah.
Just waving a pickaxe in the dark.
Yeah. So they immediately assume, of course, that he's a zombie instead of being some albino digging in the woods at 2:00 in the morning.
Honestly,
man, that's profiling right there.
That's the gang. Absolutely. Absolutely the gang profiling, because like assumedly this takes place in the same continuity as both the original Scooby Doo Where Are You, and also in a previous season, the Mamba Wamba episode, both of which had zombies surrounding witches/witch doctors. Mm-hmm. So the gang is profiling here.
Look,
that's just the way he looks. Come on.
Not every albino person is a ghoul, okay? Albino
That
people are
implies
really
some are.
nice.
You might want to be careful with your wording here, because saying not every is, that implies some are.
I would believe there's at least one ghoul in the world today, somewhere.
Yes, his
Possibly
name is.
albino.
No, there's plenty of ghouls. Just look at who's in the U.S. Congress.
Badoom. Okay. Let's get back to it. Okay, so they find out that the witch is living in Spider Mountain from Aggie Wilkins, I believe.
Yeah. Which Aggie Wilkins, you literally just told the gang where your lair is. Good job. You were a terrible, terrible
Was it
bad
Aggie
guy.
or was it the family?
No, it
The
was
Hatfields?
Aggie. It was Aggie who said that the witch lives on Spider Mountain.
Right. Man, she is dumb.
Yeah. So they Velma, Fred, and no, Fred and Daphne go back to the van to do something. I don't know. Bang, I guess. Knowing those two. And Velma, Scooby, and Shaggy all go up to Spider Mountain to find the witch's lair. And they find like an actual fucking D&D ass hag lair. And they start poking around into the spell books.
Yeah, the spell books.
You know, the real ass spell books in this real ass D&D ass witch's lair.
Yeah.
Ass.
We have seen spell books before, specifically the spell book of Ebenezer Crabbe, real wizard and savior of, closer of the Hellgate of Seattle.
Yes.
Meaning that this could be somewhat related, but we'll figure that out later. Especially when we get to the animate bones.
Cat.
Okay. What else is there? So they go up to Spider Mountain. Eventually, they find out that the witch is coming into the cave, which is just her cat walking in, and then
she just fucking animorphs.
I don't like. They could see it. They could literally see it, but they look. The Scooby Gang is a perception score of like 0. They roll
their passive perception is just garbage.
They roll consistently below 10s every time.
Every
they
time.
Can't see shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're just dumb.
They just suck at perception rolls. So, anyways, they hide, and then Scooby dresses up in like a witch's cloak, and Velma does like ventriloquism.
Yeah.
To like make it look like Scooby's talking in Velma's voice.
Velma, witch speak.
And Velma says some stuff, and this con actually works on the witch because, again, the witch is Aggie Wilkins, and she's apparently dumb as bricks. And she's only fooled when she grabs the sock puppet frog that Shaggy is using.
Mm-hmm. It's a Scooby, actually.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when they run out of the thing. And oh yeah, I forgot, before this, as they're climbing up to Spider Mountain, the fucking guy with the pickaxe like tosses the log off the chasm.
Oh, and right. Yeah, the zombie. Okay, so this is literally straight up attempted murder, and we don't get a lot of this on the Scooby Doo show, where the villain is just literally trying to kill the gang. So there's a log across like a crevasse, right? So they're climbing across it when the zombie man just sort of pushes it off the edge, basically meaning wanted to kill those teenagers. Unfortunately for him, Scooby is super stretchy and grabs a branch and then flies all the way back up to the top of the crevasse.
The old rubber band branch technique. That's a Wile E. Coyote favorite.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So they anyways, the witch captures them, ties them up, and puts them in the big witch's cauldron. And then they distract the witch somehow, and then they all pick up the cauldron and then just start bouncing along on the cauldron. And of course, because we are the way that we are, I'm sorry, viewers, we are the way that we are. Our immediate thought was getting over it with Bennett Foddy.
Yeah.
Which is that game where you have the sledgehammer and you're the dude in the cauldron and you got to climb the mountain. And Donkey got very mad at that game.
Yes. Oh, also in the spell books in the place, they find a set of weird directions that they think have some bearing on what's going on.
Yes, exactly. So
Also, Fred and Daphne have found some weird indentations in the ground nearby the sawmill. I think that happened before they went into the witch's lair, right?
I believe so. Or it happened during. It must have been a cutaway.
Yeah.
Anyways, the gang all sort of reconvenes back at the Hatfields cabin, and they find a big pile of sawdust
Just there.
just
And then-
fucking on the floor there.
yeah.
Just
Which,
cause.
oh God, that doesn't make any sense at all. So, but this
I'm
entire
just
episode
gonna
makes
spill out my bag of sawdust right here.
this
Good
entire
spot for it.
episode makes no fucking sense. Nothing about this makes sense. So they reconvene back at the cabin, and they follow the directions to. Have I got there yet?
Trapped. Yeah. No.
Oh wait, no, they have to go to the van first.
Right, and they go over like all the pictures Daphne and Velma took because they have a photo developing room in the van, like they're the goddamn TARDIS.
In the van with clear open windows that you can't put blackout. It's photo development lab in the back of the van. Oh, it's so stupid.
So they develop the photos and they make a conclusion that something's going on, and they think they figured it out. So what they do is they then follow the directions to a trap door in the Hatfields cabin, which has like a lockbox full of money in it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we know what's going on now. So they bury the money and then like leave clues for the witch to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the witch like digs it up, but then the zombie guy shows up and they like, hey, it's you. They do like the Spider-Man thing. And then they basically have a spat whilst the rest of the gang then dresses up as the ghosts of the old Hatfields from back in the feud and use it to scare the witch into a corner where they drop a frog suit on her.
And then they keep threatening because they're ghosts and they have the ability to turn people into frogs for real because we know you didn't do it. Oh, wait, okay. No, this episode doesn't make any sense. I'm completely losing my mind.
Yes, because at some point also the witch kidnapped the rest of the Hatfields.
She's just one witch. You couldn't put up a fight? What, did you just like submit and get dragged off to the fucking sawmill? And apparently just like the witch just brought a bag full of sawdust with her and just split it open on the floor and then turn people into frogs. My head hurts.
You need a Tylenol there, buddy?
This doesn't make any sense, Zach. It's complete madness. So yeah,
No,
they make her. They put a frog suit on her. Like they just drop a frog suit on her, and then she's like, "Oh no, I've been trying to do a frog." And then at that point, the zombie man takes one look at that and says, "Nah, I'm getting out." And then in one of the only times where Scoob has just actively caught a guy, just runs after him and does the rubber branch trick again. They get thrown back to the gang.
Yeah, and then Scooby's got him like in a rear neck choke.
It's just so fucking odd. So the story behind this is that Miss Wilkins was the girlfriend of a bank robber who buried his money in the Hatfield cabin. And they also figure out that the weird indentations by the sawmill spelled out SM in Morse code, which is like the weirdest, most esoteric thing I could ever think of for weird holes in the ground.
Yeah.
And of course, that's where they think the Hatfields have been taken because there's a giant thing of sawdust on the ground. But so as they were getting dragged away, they managed to write in the dirt SM in indentations in the dirt, but it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make a single lick of sense is what it doesn't make. So this episode is not very good. No. But it is an insane ride to watch because nothing is explained, but it keeps you guessing, which is what a good mystery should. So we gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Also, this episode ends with a necromantic turkey
Okay, so the end of this episode, the Hatfields decide to give the gang a feast, and then a bunch of random farm animals show up, and I'm confused as to whether or not it's a cabin or like a ranch, because you just do they. Oh, Katie's on my desk. I don't understand why. A goat just sort of sucks all the meat off of a turkey using vacuum breath. They're just fucking with Scooby and Shaggy, like eating all the food. Um, and then the turkey gets up and walks away when it's just bones. This marks what I think to be our fourth animate skeleton that's just sort of there that no one ever explained. We have one from the buffalo episode, one from the pterodactyl episode, one from the NASCAR episode because it was just literally a floating ass bone that just sort of. And then this one, that is a 4 count of animate skeletons with no explanation.
Something's going on.
Something's going on. Those skeletons, they're everywhere. They're coming for you. Maybe the skeleton men will explain it.
Maybe the skeleton men will explain it. So, that episode happened.
Yes.
So, as I said, we gave it a 6.5. For me, the best gag is when Scooby pulls the witch into bed with him. That's just funny.
Yeah, it is funny. There's just so much weird shit that goes on in this episode. Yeah. I can't narrow it down. I think the whole thing is just funny to me.
No, it's just hilarious, but kind of cracked out. This would be a good episode to watch if it's legal where you are. To watch with some of that funky grass going on.
Marijuana.
Yes. I didn't want to use the word.
The funny word, the electric lettuce, magic iguana, Mary Jane. Yes.
You're just gonna list off like all the ones you know.
Jazz cabbage. Okay, on to the next episode.
For madness.
Time traveling shenanigans.
Yeah, actually, okay. This episode, I wrote down one of my favorite film quotes of all time. Doc, you're telling me you invented a time machine out of a DeLorean?
So we open on a scientist trying to get a big bulky time machine onto a cruise ship. The person in charge of the crane accidentally hits the time machine against the side of the ship, causing it to malfunction, and a weird spooky alien creature to be revealed inside.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a big red praying mantis with two big old googly eyes.
He's so goofy. Oh my god, he's so goofy.
Put up a picture of him on screen. He is wonderful. I love this monster.
He's so goofy. I love him so much. Then after that, we have the title sequence, and we open on the gang driving in to go get aboard this cruise ship because Scoob and Shag won some sort of contest that is not elaborated on at all. So they just sort of go onto a cruise ship. Scooby stretches more. What else is there?
Yeah, so they get onto the cruise ship a bit late. Basically, they go get on right as the gangplank is leaving. And then they're trying to find their rooms, and they end up instead in the ship's hold, where they encounter the time machine. And this is where we get to one of my personal favorite parts of this episode. Is actually this episode doesn't play all its cards right away. It actually waits and sort of builds up. Like, is it an actual time machine? Is a monster from the future going to be summoned? What's going on here? So we actually get a couple of jump scares and sort of previews with the monster before it like actually attacks the gang in earnest. And the gang ends up with the professor in the hold, and they start talking with the professor, and the professor tells them they built this time machine. He's going to show it off, and he invites the gang to see this conference because he needs, in order for his time machine to be finalized, he needs to get a bunch of grant money so that he can actually produce a finalized version, because this is only a working prototype in his words. Now, I think 500 grand is a little low for a time machine, even if this is 1977.
I mean,
Like,
that's exactly why he's going for a lower amount of money, Zach, because it's not real. They're gonna take
yes.
one look at the time machine and see, oh shit, it's just a box with some lights in it.
So the gang meets the investor who gave him the loan to build the time machine, which he needs the grant money to pay back. Spoiler
Yes.
alert, he doesn't. Um, but the that guy's really greasy.
Oh
like
yes,
like
very greasy.
like
Yeah.
so like we're talking like McDonald's fryer greasy, okay? That's how greasy this man is. And after he just leaves before even seeing the machine go off, the machine malfunctions again and goes over 5,000 years into the future. And Scooby bonks into it, and the monster shows up beside it. And some shenanigans ensue. And the scene ends in the most perfect way. It's just I could not come up with a better, more hilarious way to end this scene. The monster just fucking picks up the professor and then just casually walks through the door.
Yeah,
He
I know
doesn't open it. He just
he just runs straight at it, and it just goes right through the door.
yep,
A watertight cruise ship door.
yep, yep. I believe most major doors that connect sections of cruise ships have to be watertight to a certain level. So that door would have a pretty good seal on it, and it would basically be kind of like a big, heavy iron door, since this is the 70s and they didn't know how to make doors look nice on cruise ships back then. And he just fucking plows right through it.
It's great. It's just fantastic because other than this and a few instances where the monster just picks up like a heavy object, this monster has no powers and he's just a guy in a suit. But I cannot deny the power of a man who can walk through a door.
Not through a doorway, through a door.
Through the door, yes. Just
There,
walk straight through without stopping. There's no slowdown. There's no nothing. You're just going. The door is in front of you. It's broken. It's
he's like the fucking Kool-Aid man.
that is by far
yeah.
my favorite part of this episode. It's just the thing, or another part which I call realization.
So the gang goes looking for the professor because he got kidnapped for the monster, and this is where realization happens. So I'll let you take this one, Ben.
Okay, so Scoob and Shag are going down a long hallway with a bunch of doors. So Scoob's opening the doors one by one, taking a look inside, closing it, until he gets to one with the monster inside of it. Just, of course, doesn't notice it. He's terrible at looking or seeing anything. Closes the door, goes to the next one, stands up, realizes what he's just seen, and then starts running.
It's so just brilliantly perfect because like you could freeze frame it right there and play the opening bit of Lion Sleeps Tonight, and it would just be perfect. It's so good. There's so much of this episode that just visual gags that are just aggressively hilarious.
It's a great episode.
This episode gets me in a way that a lot of other episodes don't.
No.
They are so perfectly timed. It's like, yeah, they hit upon something good with this episode. So Scooby and Shaggy get chased around by the monster, and they get chased into a costume ball for the other passengers where they dress up as Bo Peep and a sheep, which I think was one of the costumes that they suggested to Sunny St. Cloud in Pirates Ahoy, where they were all on a cruise ship.
It totally was. Totally was.
Which interestingly, they referenced this exact episode. So
that's actually kind of cool.
That is a very good deep pull,
yeah.
Mr. Whoever was doing the directing on that scene in the What's New era. You have my good graces. So it's basically throughout this scene where they get chased by the monster, the costume ball, that we just realize this monster just has very bad scoliosis, and all he can do is just growl and blow through solid rock
until he actually talks.
Yeah. as actually Scooby and Shaggy get grabbed by this monster, and it talks to them and says, "I'm going to take you 5,000 years in the future." And it's like kind of cool. Like I said, this episode builds up an actually interesting mystery because apart from the bank guy being kind of greasy, there's not really any motive for why the professor specifically would fake his time machine not being real.
Yes, because in
At
my
least,
mind, it's like, he needs the funding. So he's like, oh, fuck, I still haven't managed to make it work, but I'm going to make it work. I
yeah.
can do this, but I need more money. So
So
the only way.
it does keep you guessing.
Yeah, it does. It's a really good episode. Some of the things are just super flippin' funny. It's great.
I love this episode. As we continue on through this episode, the gang kind of loses the monster, and Shaggy and Scooby are able to escape. And the gang kind of reunites, and they just try and figure out where to go. And we flash over to Velma, Fred, and Daphne, where we get an interesting string of events that one I can make a very modern joke with, and one is a very modern joke that I did not expect to see in here, which is Daphne gets boosted up by Velma up through the vent, which of course makes Daphne sus, but Daphne falls out of the vent because she's a total freaking klutz and gets herself caught in a buoy. And in a weird turn of events, like this is not something I expected from this show of all places, they make a Daphne's ass is too fat joke. What? This was 77.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, you could.
This is not What's New, where they. God, What's New? And Daphne. Oh God, that bothers me still. That still bothers me. And one day I will have a eloquent way to explain why that bothers me beyond I don't like it. But, anyways, Scooby and Shaggy fly into like one of those like curved like tuba shaped thing that you see on boats all the time. I don't know what those
are
actually
like
are.
either foghorns or like exhaust. I don't really know.
Yeah.
They're just weird.
But anyways, they end up in that, and the gang tackles it, and they find Scooby and Shaggy inside of it, and they find that the monster can use the vents as warp pipes.
Yes, so he's sus.
Yes, he's also sus.
He's the imposter.
Yes. So eventually, after losing the monster, now that the gang's reunited, they find the professor just in a sack, and they make him fix the time machine to bring the monster back to the future.
Well,
and
yeah, they try to attract him, and apparently the time machine just has like a retract function, which is like a tractor beam, so it just drags the monster in until the monster breaks it and escapes.
Yeah, so what happens is the monster that's what happened in the opening. But they get the time machine fixed and they grapple the monster back. But right prior to this, all the grant investors showed the professor the money because they believe the time machine works, but they want him to get the monster back into the time machine. But anyways, as the monster is dragged into the time machine, it grabs the case from Pulp Fiction and then is blinked away into the future. And the investors are like, buddy, you got to get our money back. And he's like, sorry, machine's broke. Can't get your money back. So Velma calls her uncle who works at Nintendo.
Yeah.
And
fix time machine.
Velma's uncle, who's an electrical genius, using her words, just comes onto the ship. I don't know. They helicopter him in.
No. I think he just tells Velma what to do over the fucking phone. I'm pretty sure that's what they do. So like, I don't know if they're off the coast of like California or something, but if it is California,
they said it was in the South Pacific. So usually what happens in a South Pacific cruise is you depart either from South Pacific cruises will depart from usually from Hawaii or San Diego. So somewhere there.
So yeah, she calls her electrical genius uncle, and she fixes the time machine, which this has several logical problems. First of all, how does Velma's uncle know how to fix time machine?
How does he know how to fix specifically a fake time machine?
Well, the time machine is fake. So any advice that he would have given her if he knew how to fix a time machine wouldn't have worked because it's a fake time machine. Meaning that Velma's electrical genius uncle must have just been like, he makes time machine hoaxes, I guess.
But anyways, they fix the time machine, resummon the monster with the case. The gang goes and gets the case, but the professor and the greasy bank guy both leave when they see the monster again, which causes Fred and Daphne to follow them, and they find where they stashed the real case with all the money. Because as it turns out, somehow at some point off screen, the gang acquired the monster suit and used it to put Shaggy in it with a fake case, so that the professor and the bank manager would lead Fred and Daphne to the real case and expose the con. And honestly, the way this episode wraps up with a plot that isn't real estate and is actually a really interesting con.
Yeah,
like
it's great. It's a great con. I really like it. I also want to note that assumedly this cruise ship has been out to sea for a couple of hours before they actually like do the time machine conference, right?
Yeah.
So they expect to just be able to row a lifeboat back to the mainland before the police get there.
Yeah.
Our lifeboats aren't typically supposed to be used to like get places, right? They're supposed to be used to wait for rescue.
Yes, most what they're probably thinking about is this was a standard practice on cruise ships. Occasionally cruise ships will have shore boats, which are like designed to like fare ports that can't accommodate cruise ships. Cruise ships will have like shore shuttle boats on staff, which are not lifeboats but are different. They're basically water buses that will bus you from the cruise ship to this port that
water taxi.
that can't accommodate. So if they commandeered one of those, then okay, sure, but no, there's no way they're fucking rowing back.
No, there's no way they're fucking rowing back, but that was their plan, so like...
Yeah. Anyways, I feel I should explain actually their con, because if you haven't figured it out yet, basically, they created a fake time machine, and the thing is, the greasy banker guy is not actually a greasy banker. He's totally in cahoots with the professor.
Yeah.
And they wanted to get a bunch of top high-level scientists. They wanted to extort a bunch of grant money out of them. So what they did was they created this time machine con with the future monster. So they pretended that it summoned a monster from the future, caused a bunch of chaos. Then when they dragged the future monster back, that's all the proof that the investors needed. So the investors could could give them the money, and then they would mop up the future monster, shut off the time machine for the remainder of the cruise because it's too dangerous to be left on, and then they would just take the money and run.
Yeah. It's a really actually kind of intelligent thing. I mean, if you had that much, okay, look, the people in Scooby Doo are gullible as all fuck.
I'm willing to bet, like, obviously a time machine is kind of unbelievable, but I'm willing to bet somebody has, like, there's a similar grift to this that has been attempted.
Oh, I would
in real life.
I would certainly believe that. Yeah, some point. Although I don't think it was with a goofy monster suit.
I mean, honestly, Yandere Simulator is almost this grift. The guy got a bunch of Kickstarter money and he never developed it. He made a demo that made everybody hand him a bunch of money, and he's taken it and ran.
I mean, I have no idea what's even happening with him.
People say that The Simpsons predict everything. No. Scooby Doo predicted Yandere Simulator.
Are you fucking...
With that, let's move to the rating for this episode.
It's 8 out of 10, boy. It's a good one.
It's a good one. End the season on a high note.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of the season, our season average comes to a 5.72, which is actually lower than most of our averages have been. This season's been a little bit blah.
Yeah. The first and the last episodes are definitely the best. Viking Lake and this one.
Oh yeah.
Definitely certainly the best episodes. But otherwise, from that, do we have our scorecard for the evening, Pen?
The scorecard for the evening, I've added a new thing. So our petty crime is up to 11 from
Wow.
one more from the last episode. And I've added a new category called animate skeletons. And we're up to 4. We've got 4 animate skeletons. I'm not sure if we're going to get any more, but that's
might.
that. Also, we're still at 4 Scooby Dums because there's no more of him, I don't think.
Yeah, I think
Poor
he
Scooby
only
Dum.
lasted 4 episodes. Poor guy. My heart goes out to you. You were better. You are not
We don't
were.
speak of his name.
You are better than Scrappy.
No.
I said the name of that who shall not be named.
We're gonna
Well,
get
hey,
to that
it could have
at
been
some
worse. I could have mentioned the movie we shall not name.
Dick.
Dick.
All right. I guess that's it. So if you enjoy our podcast and would like to contact us, you can follow us on Twitter at do_review or email us at thescoobydoreview@gmail.com. No one will ever email us. That's a secret. You'll never do it. Yes, right. I'm talking to you, viewer. And that's the episode, everybody. Thanks for listening. And remember, we wouldn't have a podcast without those meddling kids and their dumb dog. And of course, you, the viewers. We'll see you 2 more weeks for the start of season 3. I'm sure it's going to be a hoot.
Yeah, it'll be a hoot for sure. Bye-bye.